Hi, I'm George Hammond, conference producer at Technology Networks, and I'm here to introduce our next talk, Navigating Preceptorship in STEM. Please join me in welcoming a true leader in the field of biomedical science and a champion for diversity in STEM, Bamidele Farinre. Bami inspires not only through her groundbreaking research, but also as a dedicated mentor and role model passionate about inspiring the next generation of scientists. It's great to have you join us today, Bami. Following the presentation, we will also have a Q&A session, and we welcome any questions that you may have. Please ask questions using the Q&A system to the right-hand side of the video player. And now, without further ado, I would like to hand over to Bami to begin her presentation.
Thank you very much, George, for that warm introduction. Hello, everyone. It's Bamidele Farinre, and I hope you got your pen and paper ready. And we're going to jot some notes today as we talk about preceptorship in STEM. In STEM, what does STEM stand for? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I'll start with a little bit of a background about myself. I think that will give us a context into the topic that we're talking about, preceptorship, and the importance of it. So I started my career in STEM, biomedical science, to be precise, as a medical laboratory assistant. But I would like to take us on a little journey before I go into a little bit about my career. So at the age of 17, I didn't do too well in my A-levels, all sciences, including computer science. And I remember then the lecturer saying to me that, oh, I don't even think you have the ed for science, so maybe you should think of something else, or better still, go and find some kind of work to do. And this, for a teenager that is really passionate about science, I was like, what is going on here? At that point in time, I was thinking maybe it's true. Maybe I can't do science. Maybe science is not for me. But I'm just grateful today that I didn't take on board that feedback that was given to me then. I went again, I tried again, and I can, say today that I sit here as a chartered scientist, biomedical scientist. So why did I tell you this story? I tell you this story because in the topic of preceptorship, it matters a lot, about mentorship. It matters a lot about support, community, and those that we have around us. Because as you know, science is for all. STEM is for all. But you might find that sometimes not everybody have access for one reason or the other. There's quite a lot of biases against each and everyone in individual spaces. So understanding this, to be able to take ownership, to be able to take advantage of the support and the resources available, it's really key. So I said that I started my journey as a medical laboratory assistant, and I believe that I've been very opportuned to have experienced some level of preceptorship in my career journey, because that's what had helped me to be where I am today. And as a result of that, I've been able to teach others, help others, and be a role model in the STEM space. So let's dive in. I hope that has really inspired somebody here today. And we're going to dive in and do some definitions. Bear with me. This is what happens with technology sometimes. It was working just no long ago. So, understanding preceptorship, what is it about? It is a structured mentorship program for transitioning from theory to practice. It is a supported period in which experienced professionals, who are termed the preceptors, they guide and mentor the less experienced individuals, who are termed the preceptees, to help in transitioning theoretical learning to practical application of the learning in the field. Let's define preceptorship. Preceptorship in STEM is a structured mentorship program. And the way it works, sometimes you might find that not necessarily like fully experienced individuals are the one teaching. It goes vice versa, and I'm going to touch on that later on. What are the objectives of preceptorship? The primary goal of preceptorship is to ensure that the preceptees develop the necessary skills, the confidence, the competence that is required to perform their roles effectively and independently in their respective field. Have at the back of your mind the story that I told at the beginning of this talk about being told that I didn't have the ed for science, and take on the word confidence, necessary skills, and competence. What are the key components of preceptorship? It offers valuable benefits to aspiring professionals, facilitating their skills. Like in the real world examples, illustrates the effectiveness of this mentorship model. So we need to understand the different roles when it comes to preceptorship. What is the role of the preceptor? They are the one that acts as the mentor, the role model, who provide the guidance, the support, and the knowledge transfer. With regards to the relationship building, they develop a trusting and supportive relationship where the preceptor and the preceptee is crucial and is really effective for their learning if you want to get the best out of the mentorship program. So what are the benefits? Because you might think, is it for me? Is it not for me? Does it matter? Do I need it? What is it all about? For the preceptees, you're able to enhance your skills and professional competence. You're able to build confidence in performing your job-related task. For career progression, it provides a strong foundation for career advancement. And for the preceptors, leadership skills. This allows them to be able to develop their leadership, mentorship, and role modeling skills. Professional satisfaction, in the sense that it contributes to the profession and personal satisfaction. It contributes to continuous professional development. And for organizations who offers these programs, workforce development, which is really crucial. It ensures a well-trained and competent workforce. When you pass on knowledge from those that are experienced to those that are less experienced. It enhances retention and morale, where employees they're happy, they're motivated, and because they're supported all through the onboarding experiences. I mentioned earlier about sometimes you might find that it's only the experienced staff members that are able to pass on knowledge or take part in the preceptorship programs. Not necessarily. At every point in our career, you might find that sometimes you're able to learn even from those that are less experienced, especially in this tech age. This AI where technology is crucial, and you find that the older generation, they're wanting to learn more about how they can streamline their way of working, with regards to innovation when it comes to technology. So that's where you may find that those that are new to the industry, that are not as experienced, but they come with a different set of skills, different perspective to how things can be done. This is where the differences you can see. I want to give us an example of preceptorship. I'm going to use biomedical science, of course, but this can be in any STEM-related field. So, for example, you will find that most pathology labs, organization, NHS institute, depending on which field or what area that one is working in, but this specific example that I'm going to use is for where they've implemented a preceptorship program to support recent graduates that are entering into the field of biomedical science. It's aimed to enhance their laboratory skills and foster professional development through mentorship. Because at times you find a graduate of biomedical science, they don't have the relevant skills, experience that are required to thrive in the world of work. What are the objectives? I've mentioned earlier is to equip them with the necessary laboratory skill sets to foster a culture of continuous learning, professional growth, and promote collaborative research and that of knowledge sharing. That is what it is simply. knowledge sharing. So what are the things that takes place? Is the selection of the mentor, for example. So those that have the experience, they've been in the workforce for a while, they've done the qualifications, they're able to teach and pass the knowledge. They are the one that will be chosen as the preceptors. They will be the mentors. And the way the program is structured, it depends on the culture, on the system, the way in which the organization is. Sometimes it could be a period of 6 to 12 months where they're able to combine laboratory work, seminars, one-on-one mentoring sessions, so that they can be able to discuss on any advancement, any progress that has been made during that time, to be able to know that the program is actually working and able to get feedback. The preceptees, who you can call like the mentees, by the time they're done with this preceptorship, the program, they're able to demonstrate, they should be able to demonstrate improved laboratory techniques, experimental procedures. And at the end of it as well, it will provide them with insights into the professional and ethical aspects, ethical ways, the values of the work of the field that they're in. As a result of this program, you will find that there is more collaboration between experienced researchers and those that are new to the field, and they're able to be productive and effective in the way that the learning is being rolled out. In conclusion, in this sort of example of preceptorship, you will find that it effectively prepares the graduate for the demands of the field. Because sometimes when we graduate, I can give an example of when I graduated. I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't sure. I didn't even know that I had to do a period of training in a hospital laboratory before I'm able to register as a biomedical scientist. That information wasn't available to us. So when you have programs like this, it provides and it prepares individuals for the work ahead, for the development and for the career progression ahead. How can we ensure that preceptorship is strategic and is effective? Is by having clear objectives. Remember, it's a two-way relationship. There has to be a level of commitment from the preceptees as well. So we start by goal setting, where we define achievable goals for the preceptorship period. The expectation is that two-way communication and that everybody understands what is expected of them. Ongoing support, where the preceptor regularly checks in with the preceptee, monitoring the progress and addressing any concerns. Because sometimes you'll be surprised, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because of issues encountered along the way, which is why it's really important that when the pairing is occurring, they do some sort of like a planning ahead, like a one-to-one discussion to see that kind of relationship. Because if there is any sort of disconnect, they might not be able to get the best out of the program. And it's important resource availability, because in as much as preceptorship program is important, sometimes if the resource is not available, most organizations, they're not able to offer this. So it's important to provide a necessary resource for learning and development. Evaluation and feedback is really important, and it's got to be consistent, where you offer constructive regular feedback in order to help the preceptees to improve. And of course, it's going to be like formal assessment of competence to ensure that the learning is as effective as possible. Before we go into the challenges, I want you to take a moment to think, have you ever heard of the word preceptorship? And do they have any in your organization? Maybe you might take this as your takeaway where you want to go and find out about it. And if you're listening here and you're thinking, I want to advance in my career, I don't know how, I feel stuck, You need to check this out and see what resources are available in your respective organizations for that you can take advantage of. So what are the challenges that we encounter when in the preceptorship programs? You can expect such like communication, which is always, a challenge in any relationship, to be honest with you. When it comes to training, that language barrier sometimes might be there. And then, conflicting expectations. You might find that the preceptee is expecting too much of their preceptor, not knowing that they have to put in the work, that this preceptor is just there to guide them so that they can get as much as possible from the program. Time constraints. Time constraints is because, imagine in a busy laboratory where you're trying to offer support as much as you can, but at the same time, you have a service to provide. So you have to be really strategic in the way that you allocate time for this, for the activities to take place. And ability to be able to provide structured feedback mechanism can be an issue. You might find that sometimes the preceptee have done all the work that is required, but the preceptor doesn't have time to look through the work that has been done and be able to provide feedback. So these are the kind of issues sometimes that are encountered. So just going on to elaborate more on each of these challenges. Clear and open communication channels between both parties is really essential so that they can have build trust and have effective knowledge transfer, because that is what is happening here, knowledge transfer to prepare them for the next phase in their career development. It is important to have a structured feedback loops. And here we have to be really careful, because sometimes we may feel that the feedback is only from the preceptor to the preceptee. No, it's both ways, because the preceptee should be able to feedback and say what is not working for them, in what way, how they want the program, the relationship to be, what they're looking to get out of it. See it as a mentor-mentee relationship. And so with regards to structured feedback, it should be performance evaluation as well. They may be able to maybe set them some questions or do like a shadowing sort of thing where they're able to then repeat what it is that they've been taught. Some level of assessments need to take place in here, which is tailored specifically to the preceptee's needs. It is important, of course, to talk about diversity and inclusion when it comes to these programs, because that is essentially what it is. It's not for one, it's for all. It needs to be accessible. So when it comes to this, it's important to increase diversity so that, especially for the community, as you know, we have the STEM community is very diverse, and it's good to always have that representation when we're developing these preceptorship programs, because this will allow diverse perspectives and lead to innovation and excellence in the field. Why is it important? Why is it important? It's really important to have diversity when we and be inclusive when we're designing preceptorship programs. This enhances creativity, problem solving, where you're able to welcome different viewpoint experiences, real life stories, and it ensures that everyone feels valued at all levels. Everyone feels valued, supported, and as a result of this, be empowered and thrive in their environment. It enhances learning experience. When you're excited to want to go to work because you know that you're going to learn to be able to make a difference. For example, in biomedical science, it's all about patient safety. So knowing that you're contributing to an improved patient outcome, you're motivated to want to go the extra mile to do more because you're learning, you're being supported, both on your career development and your mental health well-being as well. We can learn from each of us perspective, practices that ensure that all voices are heard. There's no blame culture. And this way we are able to create a supportive system for growth and learning. Innovation. This is really key. especially in this day and age. When there is diversity and inclusion, we find that we're able to have diverse ideas, talents, and perspectives, and things even work more better. They say when we promote inclusion, it leads to groundbreaking solutions and advancement in STEM fields. And then also is that diversity from different backgrounds, where we're able to acknowledge and leverage on these different, because somebody's strength is different to another. And where you find that there is weaknesses, you can even leverage that to ensure that the team that you're supporting, they have the necessary the skills, the necessary support for them to be able to thrive and do well and succeed in the program, leading to a collaborative learning experience. Equal opportunity. Why did I say equal opportunity? It means that it's open to all at all levels as well. It's not just, I mentioned earlier, it's not just for the experience to teach the non-experience, but vice versa. Everyone have equal opportunity, equal access, that we remove any sort of barriers, any sort of biases, so that everybody can shine. And we celebrate all our individual differences as well. Building a supportive community where we are able to empower the participant. And this leads to a collective growth and success, because when this happens, we're creating and building a workforce of tomorrow. Because one thing you find is that if this knowledge is not passed on, people, for example, people reaching retirement age, and you find there's nobody else to be able to perform at the same level with which they're performing, because they're taking all the knowledge, all the skills, all the experiences with them when they retire, which shouldn't be the case. Empowering diverse talent. This contributes to the overall advancement. If you notice, it keeps echoing. It keeps echoing. Where organizations are able to tap and leverage the skill sets of their staff members, creating a range of skills, expertise, and fostering a culture of collaboration, innovation, and excellence. How do we measure? How do we know that things are working? What tools are we able to use for us to ensure that this program is working? What feedback mechanisms do we have in place? What are the outcomes? What's the review methods? It is important to always measure the effectiveness. And how do you do this? At the end of each program is to have like a survey, a feedback, where we have that conversation, like what's gone wrong, what's gone well, what can we do to improve? How can we better this? What other things can we introduce to make sure that the next people that come on the cohort, they're able to gain as much as possible and is effective? So if there's continuity, how do we sustain this, that what we've implemented? We use this data, is database, we collect data to see how many people actually, for one cohort, how many people went, completed the programs, how many completed successfully, how many had issues, what kind of issues and problems that were encountered, how was it dealt with? We use the data, evidence-based, to be able to improve outcomes. With the impact, what is the impact of this? It bridges the gap, coming back again from the beginning, where we said between theory and practice, ensuring the development of essential skills and confidence in STEM professionals. It enhances practical skills, it facilitates hands-on learning, confidence and competence. We're doing a bit of a recap. Evaluation. where we monitor the progress of the preceptees and identify areas for improvement. We've touched on constructive feedback, the importance of it, being able to refine skills and knowledge continuously. Talk about continuous professional growth in offering guidance, support. We've touched on the benefits. I'm going to go back one step. With regards to the benefit, I want you to think of a moment, what you're going to take away from this. If you're going to go back to your organization, to go and think about, do you have a system in place already? It might be like a body system that is already in place. It might be like a mentor-mentee relationship. It might be like a role model. I want you to go back and have a think of what is in place in your organization. What can you take from what it means, what you've learned here, and how it can be implemented? Because for you to be able to implement this, you need to understand what it is initially, and then being able to explain to the management team to say, oh, this is what is required. We've identified this. How can we go about this? What resources are available to us? What like funding is available? And then of course you have to think about the timing as well. So you have, think about the timing, think about those. You have to identify specific group within the department, within the organization that you feel that can benefit from this. From my experience, what is normally done is, for example, I said I started out as an MLA. You find that a lot of graduates, they come into the profession as medical laboratory assistant, but then they want to progress to become biomedical scientists. And then you say, okay, so you identify the pool of people that are willing, because it's not everybody, of course, that wants to go on this journey. So it's important to select those that are willing and that, they're ready to actually put in the work, because it requires work. It's going to be using organizations' resources. So definitely it's going to be well utilized. So I want you to have a think about what systems do you have in place already? How are you passing on knowledge? You may not necessarily use the word preceptorship, but the most important thing is that we're developing future leaders in STEM. And how are we doing this? Consider even within your community, how you can be like a mentor. I'm addressing organization, senior management team, from top to bottom. What can you do? What areas can you identify for talent development within your organization? And how would you like to go about it? This brings us to the end of the presentation, and I'm going to hand over to George.
Thank you so much, Bami. Your passion for mentorship is truly inspiring. I can see that we've got some great questions rolling in from the audience today, so let's jump right into the Q&A. So first up, our audience wants to know what motivated you to become involved in preceptorship, and what has been the most rewarding aspect of your experience?
I think it would be my experience started out in the career, because when I wouldn't say that I had a role model. Somebody, it's really important when you have somebody that's been through the experiences that can take you through. I mentioned earlier that I didn't even know that I had to go through a period of training before I'm able to register as a biomedical science. So I just thought, okay, if I'm having to go through this, and now that I've gained the knowledge, I know how to go about it, I'm not going to complain that, oh yeah, I wish I knew this. What can I do about it? So the change that I did, the things that I didn't see, I decided to be visible, to make that information available to others. And I found that it actually is really helpful. You'd be amazed how many people reach out to me, individuals reach out through LinkedIn, through social media to say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. How can I go about it? And being able to just pass on that knowledge that I have, it's really important. And I'm really, calling out to all the senior members, staff within different respective fields of STEM, to be visible, to look out for those that you can help, create awareness, talk about, the opportunities that are available. I found that I was the one looking for opportunities. Like, and it's not everybody that's going to be like that. Sometimes you just need that hand holding. And I find it rewarding because I can tell you that a lot of my mentees, some of them they're really doing well, thriving in the industry. That tells you that I'm doing something right. Also being part of I'm in Institute of Biomedical Science, which is a professional body for biomedical science. I'm a mentor. They have a mentoring scheme. So for those also that thinks, okay, we don't know how to go about this, you can try the mentoring scheme. There's a whole range of resources that is available. There is the STEM Learning Hub that you can go to just to find out information about how to progress in your career, because sometimes you can feel stuck. And sometimes don't rely too much on the department organization. You have to take ownership. You have to be intentional in wanting to develop yourself as a professional. And then, of course, with the right resource, with the right support, you can advance your career.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Bami. Now, moving on to the question about measuring success. How can organizations measure the success and impact of their preceptorship programs?
Okay, I'll give an example of when, at times you do mandatory training in organizations. So they have a list, there's an Excel or whatever, however, database that they have of the staff member, how many have completed the training, how many haven't completed, how much, are left to complete. So in the same manner, so when it comes to preceptorship program, it's better to do it maybe sometimes one at a time. It depends on the size of the organization or the department as well, because it depends if they want to do it at organization level or departmental level. At departmental level, it's easier because you can do at least 2 staff members at a time. It depends on the resource that is available. How do you measure success? Periodically, what I found that works is like on a monthly basis. If it is a 6-month program, on a monthly basis, apart from the one-to-one that they have with the between the preceptor and the preceptee, there's that 1 month where there's a call like with the department leads for them to say, okay, what's been going on? How have you been doing it? And at the end of it as well, like that feedback, that survey, that will be able to inform them what has worked and what hasn't worked. So, but on organization level, it can be a little bit challenging because it depends on, you might find that the preceptorship work is happening at different levels as well. Different departments have different requirements. So it's about finding the balance, what works best, and then what team, at what level are they in their career as well. That's what's going to make a difference, and document it as well. You have evidence to show. So that you can always go back to it and then see if there's any areas of improvement and what's working, so that you can then roll it across. What I always advise, let me end with this, what I always advise is that to start as a pilot. Yeah, so you do with a member of staff first, see how that works, and then you can think of building up and rolling that out across the organization.
You raised some excellent points there. Thank you so much, Bami. Now, for someone who is considering taking the plunge, what advice would you give to someone who is perhaps considering becoming a preceptor for the first time?
It can be daunting, but don't think about it. Think about it as you have a new staff member starting and you're onboarding them. Think about it that way. You're passing on, you've been doing the work for however many years, and they're coming in and you're like, this is how it's done. Of course, following protocols, policies, and ensuring that they have the right level of training. I'll just say, just go for it. You're not going to be alone. There's always training available. that some organizations, they have specific trainings for preceptors that you can attend. Sometimes they offer them externally as well. And then I'll just say that just see it as a learning process for you as well, even if it's your first time. Like when I started as a mentor, it's not like I can say I didn't even know what I was saying. I just know that I was saying something that was making sense to the mentees. And of course, with time, you have to develop yourself. What kind of training can you go on? What webinars, what workshop? That is the way that you can equip yourself. And of course, as a first time as well, definitely you ask questions. And then you can even reach out to externally to other organizations that may have done such, and then you see how you can use that to journey on your own.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Bami. We have time for just a few more questions today. So, how does preceptorship contribute to long-term professional development and career advancement in STEM and healthcare fields?
I think when you think long term, because what you find is we are slowly losing talent in STEM. And it's not necessarily because people want to move out of STEM, but it's because of, I don't know, challenges, stagnancy in being able to climb on the ladder. Because it's easy for them to come in, but then how do they then move up? This is where preceptorship comes in, because I mentioned earlier about retirement or even people leaving because for some reasons, life happens to people. What then happens if you only have one individual, let's say, for example, in a department, you only have one person that can do something. So what happens then when they're not available? Let's say they have a skill set, a unique skill set that the department cannot function without. What happens when they're not available? That's where that sustainability, that's when it comes in. That, the longevity of like, okay, this knowledge, somebody else needs to know about it in the absence of, the guru, you could call it, the super user of a particular maybe tool within your organization. So I think it's really important. I've seen it happen before. I've seen it happen where in a department, somebody that's seen as a senior knows every aspect of the service, but there wasn't enough time to pass on the knowledge. So when they then left, you could see the gaps. The gaps was immediately apparent, and it wasn't easy to fill because they didn't do the necessary to pass on and to ensure that there's that continuity. If anybody sick, things happen, sicknesses, absences, also so many things like that. So we need to prepare. Otherwise, you find that we lose talents to other fields. People, they will leave because they're thinking, well, I'm not, my skills are not being utilized. I don't think I'm getting the best out of these careers. I think we can see that happening now with a lot of people changing careers. It's just job satisfaction. But when they know that, oh, there's this system in place that is investing in me, they will definitely want to stay and make sure that that investment is not in vain.
Fascinating. And finally, what are some best practices for maintaining a strong and productive mentor-mentee relationship over time?
The key is communication. If you're not able to communicate, that's where the issues are. If you're able to communicate, mutual understanding, respect, because the preceptor is taking their time, to impact knowledge. So it's really important as a preceptee that you respect that and make sure that whatever that has been given to you to do, that you be intentional about making sure that you complete, like if they have any tasks that has been assigned, activities that you do that, and also be willing to share. Because one thing I found as well is because sometimes when you've passed that knowledge, you find, and then that the preceptee then feel like they've reached it. They're not looking to you pass on the baton. That's the word I want to look for. You pass on the baton as well to see, okay, you've learned it. Who else can you, inspire for them to be able to? The key is communication. Speak, because especially when things are not going right, you'll be amazed that sometimes you've planned the program for 6 months and things happen, maybe due to service needs, and you're not able to continue. It's just having that understanding and just giving feedback to each other. I think it makes a lot of difference. And when things are not working, calling it, just speaking out about it, and not thinking that, oh, you failed. No, you haven't failed, because that's where that support system comes in as well.
Those are all fantastic questions, and a massive thanks to Bami for such insightful answers. But unfortunately, that is all that we have time for today. For those with unanswered questions, don't worry, we'll get them straight to the speaker after the event. And remember, this talk, like all the others, will be available for you to revisit for the next 30 days. So that just leaves me to say thanks once again, Bami, and to everyone in the audience. We will see you all again soon for the next talk.
Thank you, George.